has a sufficient amount of plutonium and highly enriched uranium to build at least a 2-digit number of nuclear weapons. At the launching ceremony of the Presidential AI Committee, which will act as the nation's control tower on AI policy, President Yoon vowed to make South Korea one of the world's top 3 global AI powerhouses. To secure overseas talent in cutting-edge industries, the Justice Ministry announces a set of immigration policies introducing newly created visa programs.
Thank you for joining us on Arirang News. I'm Kim Bo-kyung. We begin with fresh speculation about North Korea's next potential nuclear test. The National Intelligence Service says the regime could carry out the 7th test after the November election in the U.S. rather than before, and possesses materials enough to produce a number of nuclear weapons. Lee Soo-jin explains.
North Korea's 7th nuclear test may take place after the U.S. presidential election in November rather than before. South Korea's National Intelligence Service said in a National Assembly Intelligence Committee meeting on Thursday that there is a possibility that the test will happen after, as Pyongyang has other methods of military provocation, such as intercontinental ballistic missiles and satellite launches. The North has carried out 6 nuclear tests since the first one in October 2006, with the last one taking place in September 2017. According to the NIS, North Korea currently possesses around 70 kilograms of plutonium, as well as a significant amount of highly enriched uranium, enough to produce at least a double-digit number of nuclear weapons. As for North Korea revealing its uranium enrichment facility for the first time earlier this month, lawmakers Lee Sung-kwon and Park Sun-won, who attended the meeting, said that the NIS assessed that it was a show of defiance ahead of the U.S. election, as well as to boost domestic morale with the demonstration of its military achievements amid worsening economic conditions. On September 13th, photos were released by the state-run Korean Central News Agency that show leader Kim Jong-un walking past rows of centrifuges that process uranium to be made into nuclear fuel, learning about the operation of its production lines. During the visit, Kim also emphasized the need to strengthen Pyongyang's nuclear capabilities. The NIS said that the facility is likely to be located in Gangseon, just outside of the capital Pyongyang, and said that it is closely monitoring the uranium enrichment site in Yongbyon. And the North's test launch of 2 different tactical ballistic missiles last week, one with a super-large conventional warhead and another with a strategic cruise missile, was to verify its precision strike capability. The NIS confirmed that 1 out of the 2 missiles fired reached the target, a slight improvement compared to past tests, which also signals a growing security threat to South Korea. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
At the UN in New York, Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yeol points to the presence of active weapons cooperation between North Korea and Russia as tangible indication of the UN Security Council's shortcomings. Lee Eun-jin reports.
A high-level open debate on leadership for peace is a signature UN Security Council event during the annual gathering of world leaders at the UN General Assembly. And this year, 15 council nations attended under the Maintenance of International Peace and Security agenda. During his address on Wednesday, South Korea's Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yeol highlighted that the many humanitarian challenges the world faces today are interlinked to security and development, and that tackling root causes requires an integrated and coherent approach that links humanitarian assistance and development to peace and security. But he also raised the issue of the Security Council's limitations in failing to effectively pass any resolutions to address the current pressing security issues. Cho said that Russia, a permanent member of the Security Council, had blatantly breached core principles of the UN Charter and international humanitarian law, adding that Russia uses its veto power to undermine the international non-proliferation regime. He called on Pyongyang and Moscow to comply with the relevant UNSC resolutions, which he stressed were unanimously adopted by the chamber.
Adding to the frustration is the fact that the Russian Federation obtains arms and munitions from North Korea in flagrant violation of multiple council resolutions while using its veto power to undermine the international non-proliferation regime.
After outlining that strengthening cooperation between the UN and regional and sub-regional organizations would play a crucial role in contributing to the Council's efforts to prevent conflicts, Cho also reaffirmed Seoul's commitment to contributing more to promoting and strengthening political and peace-building projects. Main issues discussed during the open debate session were Russia's war in Ukraine, the situation in the Middle East, and the civil war in Sudan. Yoon, Arirang News.
In 1974, an agreement was signed between South Korea and Japan for joint development of an underwater continental shelf, believed to hold mass deposits of oil and natural resources, but talks have stalled. Tomorrow, the two sides will be holding talks on this issue in Tokyo for the first time in nearly 40 years. Our foreign affairs correspondent Bae Eun-ji reports.
The Joint Development Zone is an area that has been at the center of maritime disputes between South Korea and Japan. Located south of Jeju Island, it's about 124 times the size of Seoul and lies in the waters between the two countries. A treaty was signed back in 1974 to designate the zone as a shared area for petroleum and natural gas exploration, based on analysis suggesting that the underwater continental shelf may hold a significant amount of oil and other minerals. Under the agreement, exploration and development require both nations' consent. But little development has been made in this area, as Japan made little effort to engage in joint exploration. Talks on the agreement have been suspended since 1985, with Japan having been lukewarm about moving forward with the pact. But for the first time in nearly 40 years, officials from the two countries are set to hold working-level talks on the issue in Tokyo on Friday. It will be led by Hwang Jun-sik, Director General for International Legal Affairs from South Korea's Foreign Ministry, and Akihiro Okuchi, Deputy Director General for Asian and Oceanian Affairs from Japan's Foreign Ministry. Some experts in South Korea believe Japan is waiting for the agreement to expire so that it can seize the area for itself. This is because changes to the international law in the early 1980s favor a midline border between the two countries, likely benefiting Japan, as the JDZ lies more than 90% inside of Japan's exclusive economic zone, weakening South Korea's claims to the area. The JDZ agreement is set to expire in 2028, and either of the two countries can confirm their intention to terminate the pact, starting June next year. But Seoul's foreign ministry claims even after the expiration of the agreement, neither South Korea nor Japan will have the right to develop the region without joint consent, as the area will be left as an undelimited maritime area, and has been urging Japan to pursue joint exploration. Bae Eun-ji, Arirang News.
President Yoon Suk-yeol will hold a summit with the Prime Minister of Slovakia, Robert Fico, who's set to make an official visit to South Korea from Sunday. The presidential office on Thursday said the Slovak leader will make a 3-day visit to Korea and engage in talks with Yoon on Monday. The two leaders are expected to focus on strengthening practical cooperation across various sectors, as well as discuss broader regional and international cooperation amid the ongoing war in Ukraine and Russia's military cooperation with North Korea. Tensions in the Middle East continue to escalate, with Israel and Hezbollah exchanging strikes amid talks of a 3-week ceasefire backed by the U.S. The call comes on the brink of a potential ground operation against Hezbollah in Lebanon. Choi Min-jung reports.
Israel and Hezbollah launched a new wave of strikes on Thursday. Israel said around 45 rockets were launched from Lebanon in the morning, with some intercepted and the rest falling in open areas. The Israeli military said it also struck approximately 75 targets overnight belonging to Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. It reportedly targeted Hezbollah's weapons storage facilities, infrastructure, and fighters. The attack comes after more than 80 people were killed in Israel's airstrikes on Lebanon the day before and over 600 this week. And according to the United Nations, more than 90,000 people in Lebanon are newly displaced. Speaking at a UN Security Council meeting on Wednesday, the U.S., France, and their allies have called for an immediate 21-day ceasefire across the Israel-Lebanon border.
A diplomatic solution is indeed possible. In recent days, we've worked with our American partners on a temporary ceasefire platform of 21 days to allow for negotiations. This platform will be made public very soon.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has dismissed the reports of a possible ceasefire and instead ordered his military to fight with full force. Meanwhile, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres told the meeting that an all-out war must be avoided at all costs.
The people of Lebanon, as well as the people of Israel and the people of the world, cannot afford Lebanon to become another Gaza.
The talks come after Israel's military said that it is preparing for a potential ground incursion into Lebanon. Choi Min-jang, Arirang News.
Japan began releasing wastewater from the destroyed Fukushima nuclear power plant into the ocean from Thursday, its 9th overall release so far. About 7,800 tons will be released, similar to previous amounts, until October 13th. Tokyo Electric Power Company has discharged over 62,000 tons of the water off the coast of Fukushima Prefecture on 8 occasions beginning August last year. President Yoon has launched an AI committee that includes government officials and industry experts to frame out the nation's AI policies and vision as the country injects billions in hopes of becoming a major AI powerhouse. Our presidential office correspondent Oh Soo-young reports.
South Korea will spend around $49 billion to develop artificial intelligence, aiming to become one of the top 3 nations leading in the technology by 2027. On Thursday, President Yoon launched the new Committee on AI as the central body to establish policies to nurture the technology and set out a national vision. Speaking at the very venue where Go champion Lee Se-do and the AI AlphaGo played their historic match 8 years ago, Yoon said AI is now shaping a nation's capabilities and growth and has become the very essence of economic security.
이러한 변화를 앞에서 선도하느냐, 뒤에서 따라가느냐에 따라서 나라의 미래와 운명이 갈리게 될 것입니다. 저는 오늘 국민 여러분께 대한민국이 AI 분야에서 세계 3대 강국으로 도약한다는 이런 원대한 비전과 함께 이를 이루어 나가기 위한 국가 총력전을 선포합니다.
Chaired by the President, the committee consists of senior government officials and 30 experts in AI from the private sector.
국가인공지능위원회는 범국가적 혁신 역량을 하나로 모으는 민관 협력의 구심점입니다. 나라의 미래 명운에 걸린 AI 전환을 선두에서 이끌며 우리나라를 AI 3대 강국으로 도약시키는 견인차가 될 것입니다.
As the global race to master the technology continues to intensify, Yoon's office said Seoul will inject 65 trillion won, or $48.9 billion, into becoming a leading AI power. The president also announced plans to establish a national AI computing center as the key body to drive research and development and accelerate transformation across industries. Amid competition, he further stressed the need for global cooperation to address the misuse of AI technology that could violate national security and breach individual safety and privacy.
AI의 급속한 발전과 함께 많은 부작용도 발생하고 있습니다. AI 기술로 생산된 가짜 뉴스들이 우리의 민주주의를 위협하고 최근에는 deepfake 기술을 악용해서 인권을 침해하는 사례들이 빈번하게 일어나고 있습니다. 디지털 격차가 확대되면서 공정하고 균형 있는 정보 접근이 중요해졌습니다. 우리 정부는 이러한 문제들을 국제사회와 연대해서 풀어나가기 위해 글로벌 리더십을 발휘하고 있습니다.
Since taking office in 2022, President Yoon declared a new digital order for global citizens and elaborated on his vision through speeches at the World Economic Forum, Harvard University, Sorbonne University in Paris, and the UN General Assembly last year. His secretary for AI and Digital told Arirang News, Seoul has emphasized three critical principles: safety, innovation, and inclusivity.
Our government is dedicated to playing a leading role on the global stage, sharing the benefits of AI advancements while ensuring that these technologies are developed with humanistic values and inclusiveness at their core.
To create a national framework, the presidential office says the government will aim to pass a basic law on AI this year and establish an AI safety institute. Looking 30 years ahead, the president pledged efforts to design and achieve an AI-driven future by strengthening innovation policies and by removing regulatory barriers in order to maximize the benefits brought by the technology. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Over in Parliament, lawmakers tonight approved dozens of bills that deeply affect people's lives. Key items on the agenda were measures to prevent further deepfake sex crimes and to help working parents take care of their children. Our National Assembly correspondent Lee Si-yu reports.
Sexual crimes involving deepfake content, often targeting young students and minors, have torn across South Korea in recent months. With rising cases of exploitation where perpetrators create fake sexual content using a victim's pictures, lawmakers on Thursday hammered out new pieces of legislation that will hopefully put a stop to the crisis and help the victims.
This outlines the responsibility of national and regional authorities to assist in the deletion of illegal content and personal information and help the victims recover from damage.
The proposals also lay out a prison sentence of up to 3 years and around a 30 million Korean won fine, or around $23,000 US. They further impose additional penalties for those who use deepfake content to make threats to minors. There were 204 approvals from 205 present representatives, while 1 abstained. And as part of efforts to overcome the low birth rate issue amid an aging society, the Assembly voted to extend the period of childcare leave.
This extends the post-birth paternity leave from the current 10 days to 20, and childcare leave for each parent from the current 1 year to a year and 6 months.
The improved Equal Employment Opportunities and Work Families Balance Act also grants more work leave for expectant parents trying to conceive with medical help. Despite the rare move of cooperation, however, there were tensions as rival parties disputed over several opposition-led bills put up for a revote after the president had vetoed them.
We'll likely see similar progress in the coming plenary sessions, as a set of contentious bills pushed by the opposition just last week are also expected to be rejected and returned to the parliament. Lee Si-yu, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, new visa plans have been announced to attract more overseas talent in cutting-edge industries such as AI and aerospace sectors as part of the Korean government's new immigration policy. Shin-Young explains in detail.
Amid the country's low birth rate and aging population, the government is rolling up its sleeves to get ready for a future where the foreign resident population is expected to reach 3 million. The Ministry of Justice announced a new plan on Thursday to attract overseas talent in advanced industries, which includes introducing a so-called top-tier visa.
A top-tier visa will be created to attract top-skilled personnel in advanced fields such as the AI, quantum computing, and aerospace sectors. It will make it more convenient for these individuals and their families both in the immigration process and throughout their stay, boosting the country's ability to attract talent and encouraging them to settle here.
Support for international students in finding jobs and settling in South Korea will also be strengthened. The ministry plans to extend the period for job seeking and internships after graduation, as well as expand job opportunities to include non-professional fields. The government also decided to introduce a so-called Ustream in Korea visa for young people from countries that supported South Korea during the Korean War, as well as key economic partners, offering them job opportunities. The plan also includes improving the visa system and implementing tailored immigration policies to support regions in South Korea that are facing significant population decline. According to the ministry, there are currently 2.61 million foreign residents in South Korea, which is about 5% of the population. The government expects the new plan to bring in over 100,000 additional skilled workers in key industries within 5 years. 신하영, Arirang News.
South Korea is forecast to suffer yet another massive tax revenue shortfall this year, amounting to almost 30 trillion Korean won, or more than 22 billion US dollars. According to the Finance Ministry, the government is projected to collect around 337 trillion Korean won in taxes this year, falling short of this year's planned budgetary spending by 29.6 trillion Korean won. This marks the second consecutive year of a massive tax revenue shortfall, following last year's record high 56.4 trillion won. The ministry cited reduced corporate tax due to last year's weak global trade and sluggish semiconductor industry as reasons behind the shortfall. In response, the government plans to utilize surplus or unused funds from public reserves. Over the past few months, the government has been attempting to test and verify the safety of products bought from cheaper overseas online platforms known as e-commerce. It aims to protect domestic buyers from potentially hazardous substances. Our trade correspondent Moon Hye-ryun files this report.
Overseas online shopping is keeping these computers busy. Not with receiving orders, but with complaints and concerns from buyers. This is the Seoul Electronic Commerce Center, where reports from South Korean consumers buying items on Chinese platforms like Temu and AliExpress are surging, not just due to increased usage, but also growing safety concerns.
We have a lot of cases where people read press releases about hazardous substances being detected and then contact us directly.
Government press releases have alerted buyers about hazardous substances found in products from these sites, leading to a wave of inquiries. This is part of an initiative started in April to provide safety information on products sold on Chinese e-commerce sites, with various ministries and the Seoul local government testing different goods.
The Seoul Metropolitan Government tests a range of different products, including children's goods such as the ones behind me.
Phthalate is a chemical harmful to organs and child development. These boots contain more than 680 times the allowed phthalate levels for children's products. About 15 products are tested weekly based on trends like bikes and roller skates. The KCL lab, in partnership with the Seoul government, tests items in direct contact with children like bike seats. Materials are cut, liquefied, and analyzed using a spectrometer to determine their composition. Results are published online with weekly updates from the Seoul government and a recent 5-month report from the Ministry of Environment. 1 in 10 items from Chinese e-commerce sites have been found to fail safety standards, and unsafe products are removed from sale.
We send official requests to these platforms asking sellers of hazardous products to be shut down, and they respond by taking said items off their site as soon as possible.
South Korea is an important market for Chinese online shopping platforms, which is why they have so far been cooperative with these requests. Conducting tests and reporting results is by no means a sustainable long-term solution, but this serves to raise awareness so consumers can make informed decisions.
It's important that consumers themselves make the effort to avoid buying products that are dangerous.
Going forward, experts say the government's goal of alerting domestic buyers to safety precautions when using overseas online shopping platforms could be more widely achieved by utilizing other methods such as social media. Moon Hye-ryun, Arirang News.
There were only a few clouds in Seoul today. The temperature rose significantly as the sun shined through the clouds. It is hotter than usual, but the humidity is low, so it didn't feel too hot. Tomorrow, it will be mostly sunny in inland areas. Rain is expected in eastern parts of Gangwon-do province from the morning, and showers will pass in Gyeongsang-buk-do province at one point in the afternoon. On Saturday, the rain will expand to the east coast. Between tomorrow and Saturday, eastern parts of Gangwon-do province will receive more than 100 millimeters of autumn rainfall. Tomorrow morning, the temperature will be 19 degrees in Seoul and Gwangju and 22 degrees in Busan, which is similar to or slightly lower than today's temperature, so it will be cool in the morning. Highs will move up to 27 in Seoul, Chuncheon, Daejeon, Gwangju, and Jeju. For the time being, it will be sunny in inland areas, and the daytime temperature in Seoul will rise to 29 degrees this weekend. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That's all we have for today. Thank you for watching. Arirang News will be back at 9 a.m. Korea time.
요즘 한국에선 어떻게 노는지 알려줄까?
한국에선 아이돌이 되어볼 수도 인생 번호를 찾을 수도 있지.
제일 핫한 포토 스팟은 여기.
한국은 분명 너에게 새로운 영감을 줄 거야.